Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a solo overnighter under a tarp. So right now I have my tarp half set up, and what I'm going to be doing is a classic hammock setup with the closed-in doors. But right now I'm going to leave this side of the shelter wide open for ease of access in and out of the shelter during the daytime. Now I am going to be sleeping with a sleeping bag and a sleeping pad, and those are both going to be on top of this ground sheet that I've got to get set up. But first I've got to flatten down the area of snow, get this in there, and then I can get my air pad, my sleeping bag, and everything configured. So let's get that all set up. Alright, so I've got everything set up for the evening and ready to go. So what I've got is my ground sheet, my sleeping pad, my sleeping bag, and then my tarp. Now the reason why I'm showing it from this angle is because I have actually pushed my sleep system this way. So if you notice, the center of the tarp is right here. That leaves me that whole side to crawl into, sit down on my sleeping pad, and have a porch area to take my boots off. I can even do some cooking or make up a coffee, whatever I need to do inside the shelter later on tonight, or maybe even early in the morning, I could do on that side and sleep on this side. So that's what's going on here. Now it is time to get a coffee on the go and start relaxing a little bit. Okay guys, on my second cup of coffee now, and I gotta say, taking it nice and easy and slow today is definitely going to be the way. So I'm just relaxing, listening to the sounds of the creek. It is super warm out right now. Like I was saying, the temperatures are warm today, but they're gonna get cold tonight. So second cup of coffee, just listening to the birds, the water, looking at the sun way up on top of the cliff, because I am down in a very deep ravine and there is a big cliff right there. I can see the sun is almost below the horizon line, so it is going to start getting cold rather soon and a little windy. I can feel a breeze coming through here. So I do not have my saw with me on this trip. I only brought one knife, my hip knife, and then I did bring another smaller knife for helping out with cooking food, but all I have is a knife. So what I think I'm going to do is finish up my coffee, and then I'm just going to take a walk around the area, gather up any small twigs, small round pieces of wood that I could process easily with my knife, and I'm going to light a very tiny fire just away from the tarp, away from all of my gear. Make sure there are no sparks. I certainly don't need it for warmth. I just want it for the little camp feel, just the aesthetics of it. It's nice to have a little fire every now and then. Plus it'll help dry out my boots a little bit, because I'm not going to have a heat source inside of here later on. So if my boots do stay wet, they will freeze overnight, and that's never fun. So coffee and then campfire. All right, guys, I'm all done with my supper, and I gotta say it was pretty good for how simple it was. I just did a very simple ramen dish, added a few fresh vegetables to it, and that's it. When I'm out hiking lightweight, I don't really like to spend a lot of time doing huge, intricate meals. Just something really fast and really simple. I do still have a bunch of snacks in here, though, for inside of the tarp later on, so I'm gonna leave that for then. But for now, I think I'm gonna heat up my coffee, because I got about 2 or 3 more cups of coffee in my kettle. So I'm gonna pop that on the canister stove, get that heated up, and sit here and enjoy that. Now, I will mention that it is getting colder out now. I can actually feel it in the air, but I do not want to put on my down jacket wearing it next to the fire, and I did not bring my wool sweater this time. So, with the temperatures being as warm as they are, I mean, -10 overnight is not that cold, and I'm gonna be in my sleeping bag overnight, not sitting next to the fire. So, I'm not too worried about it, but I think this fire is going to do really well. It's not spitting a whole lot of embers, just burning all that hardwood. It is smoking a little bit off and on though, but I'm not going to burn it all night anyway. It's just going to burn now, let it kind of do its thing, and then go out. And then by that time, probably it'll be time to go in the tarp anyway. So I'm going to get my coffee on the go, get a little bit of hot liquid inside of me, and enjoy the sounds of the river and the crackling campfire. All right, so the campfire is just about done for the evening, and it is quite cold out now. So I've been hovering over the fire for the last 2.5 hours. My boots are fairly dry. I mean, they could be drier, but they're dry enough that I'll be comfortable going to sleep and waking up, and hopefully they won't be frozen solid in the morning. But I gotta say, I am very excited to crawl into my sleeping bag tonight. So gonna let this do its thing, burn out, and then I'm gonna make my way into the tarp and slide in that sleeping bag, and I am not getting out of that thing until morning time. So I'm gonna say goodnight to you guys and do my thing here in front of the fire, and then make my way over to the tarp. Catch you guys in the morning. All right, guys, it is breakfast time. I do have another coffee poured up. Very nice hot coffee. So you'll notice that I made coffee 3 different ways on this trip. And this trip was about being light and being comfortable. So I did use my coffee filter in the cup, and then I used my mocha pot. And then yesterday I made coffee directly in the kettle. So 3 different ways of coffee, 3 different experiences, which was pretty awesome. I switched up my oatmeal to peaches and cream instead of apple cinnamon, so kind of mixing it up a little bit, doing different things. And with springtime almost here, it's nice to mix things up a little bit. So that word springtime that I just mentioned, that should explain how last night went. So I'm just going to cover this up really quickly. Just got to give it a quick stir. Cover it up, and I'll explain to you how last night went, because this is really interesting. So I'm laying inside of the tarp in my sleeping bag, and it is cold. It's cold. I checked my thermometer and it was -5 degrees Celsius at about midnight. So I watched a couple movies, zipped the sleeping bag up, and then I went to sleep. And I woke up probably at about 4 o'clock in the morning to freezing rain hitting the side of the tarp. I turned my headlamp on, looked out underneath the tarp. In fact, it was freezing rain, nice sized pellets. And probably about an hour later, my ears kind of woke me up to the different sounds. So it was no longer tapping freezing rain, but it sounded like rain, just rain. And I woke up and I was extremely hot. I unzipped the sleeping bag and the inside of the tarp was condensation. And I looked out, and sure enough, it was actual rain, and it was only 0 degrees Celsius. 0 to +1. So pretty bizarre last night. Now, I am only 1 kilometer away from the ocean, and camping here in Nova Scotia near the ocean around springtime, you get cold air and then you get warm air. And last night was definitely a pocket of warm air. Even right now, sitting here, it is 2 degrees Celsius right now. So it's not freezing, it's warm. The snow is kind of like snowball snow, so I can actually pack it into a ball. So it is warm out right now, but last night it did only get down to -5, and I was probably, arguably, the most comfortable sleep I have had all winter long inside of that Arctic rated sleeping bag. No joke. I unzipped that thing all the way down to my ankle, and I just, because the zipper on that sleeping bag is an L, so it goes across your face and then down, and I'll explain more of that in my full review if you guys are interested in that kind of portion of the sleeping bag. But just to stick with the video, the zipper is in an L shape. So I unzipped that and then all the way down, which means you can then open up the flap. And it has vertical walls, so it's got about 8 to 10 inch vertical walls of down. So it's literally like laying in a warm coffin, if you will. And I just unzipped it and opened up the flap, vented out, and then I just flopped it back over. So it is a top zip, but it's not in the center, it's off to the side, which means the whole side zipper for about 4 inches was wide open the entire night. And I didn't have my jacket on, I had my hoodie on, no hat, no gloves. The most comfortable sleep, arguably the most comfortable sleep I've had all winter in that tarp. Very, very warm. So I am now going to enjoy my oatmeal and my coffee. One other thing real quick, you'll notice that my coffee cup is a different color. So this is a 200 milliliter titanium cup. It's very small. Now for comparison, this is my 750 mil. This is the 200 mil. So this guy's very, very small. Now I found this on Amazon, and I have a 300, a 400, a 500, and so on, but 200 is the smallest size that I could actually find with a legitimate lid with a handle. So I got it for my youngest daughter, Autumn, and now she has her own little titanium cup. But the problem is she loves the purples and the blues that titanium changes when it gets hot. So yesterday it was brand new color titanium. And then last night, if I can grab my stove, I cranked up my stove and I just held it on there and rotated it around to color it titanium. Now the cup needs to be empty when you do that, and it's trial and error. You heat it up, let it cool down, kind of check out the colors. And I think she's going to be very, very happy with the colors on that cup when I show her today when I go home. So that's the deal with the cup, but I do have enough coffee in here perfect size coffee for the trail. I would have thought 200 would have been way too small. I've been using my 300 a lot lately, but this 200, perfect size for a single coffee, and then hit the trail and off you go. So I'm gonna enjoy my coffee, my morning oatmeal, and then I'll bring you guys back over to the shelter, show you how that looks, and then we're gonna get packed up, and that's what we're gonna do, is hit the trail. All right, guys, everything is packed away inside of the pack. I'm just getting on my gaiters right now because the snow is quite wet. And well, with the warm temperatures, that's kind of expected. So I'm not sure what the next few days are forecasted at, whether it's actually going to be warm or cold, but when I was taking down the tarp, it felt like plus 10 degrees. A huge warm draft just swept up this valley. And that's kind of scary for me because I really want to do a couple more hot tents before the season's over, or hot tent trips, I should say. So I don't know what the future weeks are going to bring. I do know here in my area we do get swept with very, very cold wind and very, very warm wind off and on in the spring. So it's going to be a very, very mixed bag of weather going forward in the next few weeks is my prediction here. So it's going to be interesting. Stick around and see what happens, but for now I think I'm ready to hit the trail. So I'm probably going to take my jacket off. Actually, that's exactly what I'm going to do, because it is warm enough that I'm definitely going to work up a sweat hiking up this hill and all the way down the trail. So I'm going to get my jacket off, get that packed inside of the backpack, and then get the camera squared away, get that put away. And I'm basically going to start the long hike out of here. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you guys have any questions at all, as always, drop it down in the comment section and I'll be sure to get back to you on your questions. Until next time, peace out guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.